What is up, guys? It's your boy Brandon, aka Drip, back with another video and another spicy deck profile. And today's deck profile, we got Virtual World. Virtual World is a deck that I've been meaning to pick up for a while, but like at the time I didn't want to pick it up until like the Mega 10s when they got reprinted, and because everything was a lot cheaper. I went ahead and decided to pick it up, and yeah, I know the Mega 10s came out like a long time ago, but I wanted to put a list together that was like my own, on top of my own. I wanted to put a list together that was like, that I felt like I really enjoyed and was consistent. One thing I will say is there's some tech cards in this that a lot of people might not like or stuff like that, but it works for me, so I want to stick to it. Another thing too is we are not like directing all of our attention to the scythe lock. You can scythe lock with this version, but it's not the sole purpose of this. A lot of this is like, a lot of my deck you'll see when we get into it, dive into it, is from like the first several versions of this deck. So, that's basically kind of what this is. A lot of the extra deck like goes towards is like the first few versions of this. So like if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So that's basically what I lived by when I built this deck. So one thing I will say is look forward to like a couple of extra videos of this, and it's like several different deck profiles, because I'm probably going to upload a couple of different versions. I don't know yet. This is the one that I've been finally set my mind on, that I actually enjoy. Think them as the most consistent, but a lot of it is standard. It just boils down to what utilities / generic cards you want to run, and extra deck cards, because other than that, like Virtual World's kind of like standard. But with that being said, let's get into the deck profile. Like I said, a lot of it is standard. Starting off with the monsters, we got 3 Lulu. Lulu is your best card. Not much needs to be said there. She facilitates your main combo. She is your basically your Rhoda, and yeah. We got 3 Lao, 3 Lily, 3 Gigi, and 2 Nyan Nyan. I'm still on Nyan Nyan because one thing I will say, I give you a spoiler, in my build I'm still running Desires, so I want a second. One other build that I was rocking, I cut her down to 1 because I took Desires out completely. But I felt like in this deck, still, you plus so hard off of Desires, because the number one thing this deck like somewhat loses to is hand presence. If you don't have, because this deck, when you do part of the combo, you got to discard part of your hand. So if you don't have a hand presence, you just lose automatically. That's just basically how it is. No hand, no win. So this is your Rhoda, your Monster Reborn, your single or double Foolish, your just extender, and your recycler from Banish Pile, basically. Probably not going to dive too much into it. All of y'all probably already know what these cards do. If you don't, just let me know. I can go over them more in detail. I was just saving you all the headache, because I know some of y'all don't like when I talk too much, but it is what it is. Some of y'all OGs know I like to talk and try to explain things. The rest of y'all can just get over it. Just keeping it real with you, to be honest. But that's it for obviously the Virtual World cards. There for a while, when I first started messing around with this deck, I was running Tutu, but I cut it just to save space. I might try to fit it in again, because it is like a Cyber Dragon basically, and it is a name. This deck bricks enough as it is. That's another reason why I didn't solely like direct my attention to the Scythe Lock, because I felt like that required more setup than just the standard combo does, and to a degree, the standard combo already requires a lot of setup. I know it might sound ridiculous saying you just need 2 names, but yeah, you do need 2 names, but it sometimes in this deck, for some odd reason, is harder to get that, so I wanted to run this version instead. Obviously, if you're running this deck, you want a Gamma package. Gamma is like, it's Gamma. Not much needs to be said. There's a lot of part of the combos with this base version of the combo that you do things that before you even summon a card. So like you can easily use this for negating your opponent's Ash, because Ash, if like held properly can actually hurt this deck a lot. Definitely if you don't have enough names in your hand. So like let's say you only open 2 names, the Ash can actually hurt really bad if you don't have no other ways to get another name on board. So Gamma helps us with that situation. On top of that, Driver's a 6, so it helps out a lot too when you're going first. And we are running a card in our deck that I'm not going to spoil yet that Gamma actually helps like facilitate that card a lot more, and I'll get into that when we get there. And then the next monster hand trap we got is 3 Ash. Ash is just generic, and it also works with that same card that you'll see later in the profile. Ash is just, and it's a 3/2, which is really disgusting too. So Ash is just Ash, and then I'll run 1 Ogre because the E-Telly, you can just set the E-Telly when you're going to try to make, like, if you draw the E-Telly and you don't need it and you have rest combo, you just set the E-Telly when you make Zulkin and then summon this on your opponent's turn and just have a pseudo and additional negate. And then the last monster in the deck, I'm running the one of Destrudo. We do run Baron, spoilers. So this is how we make Baron, is with this card here. So this card is really cracked. I can't believe it came off the list. You don't have to run this card if you don't want Baron. I just like this card because you can obviously make Baron with this card, and on top of that, it's a free extender. So it helps out, and it unlocks your extra deck to several, like a more synchros that normally the deck wouldn't be able to make with 3s and 6s. So that's why I run Destrudo. That's it for the monsters. Moving on to the spells. A lot of this is standard. I got 3 King Long. King Long is King Long. 3 Kowloon. Basically peanut butter and jelly when it comes to this deck, so not much else to be said. 3 of the best like extender in the deck, and don't roast me with the 1 ulti and 2 rares. I'm sorry. I bought the ulti before the card even came to 2, so, and I just forgot to go back and pick the other ones up. Don't roast me. But no, this card is cracked. Should have like never come back to 3. It facilitates so many decks. I can't begin to stress that how good this card is enough, but for the most part, y'all probably already know that. And then one card I do opt to run that not many people actually opt to run anymore, and I'll tell you this right now, with this deck relying on consistency and having consistency issues anyways, hence why I didn't run the Ready Fusion package I originally was, or the Punk package. I tried the Punk package. I didn't like it. Personally, because I felt like it added too many additional bricks to the deck that already bricks as it is. So I wanted to minimize on the bricks and just maximize on the extenders. Hence what I said at the beginning of the video: if the deck's not broken, there's no need to fix it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. So basically, if I know some people probably get bored summoning the same cards and doing the same combos, I get that, but at what cost though? So with that being said, the card that I'm running is I like Foolish Burial Goods. I like Foolish Burial Goods. This card has saved me numerous of times. It helps you get your names in your hand that you need. This card is just overall phenomenal. Yeah, so there's not much needs to be said about this. I like the Foolish Burial Goods like a lot. It gets your spells and your traps in your grave. And then again on what I said about hand presence and Ash can kill us, the next card I run is 2 Talents. I don't run 3 because you don't want to use Talents or draw into Talents. The 2's good. You can banish 1 off Desires if need be, and then have the other one in deck. But this card is like single-handedly like kind of won me some games online, because like when you're when you're thinning out your hand, when you're comboing, this just replenishes your hand, and you can basically go full combo and then refill your hand with this if they hand trapped you at a certain point and you still had combo. And you still, like, you can draw into your hand traps or your just your generic negations or your extenders or your follow-ups. So this card is just overall really good, and I feel like it's kind of mandatory now, just my personal opinion. And then the card that I was referring to earlier that the Gamma and Ash are really good for is Small World. This basically took the 2nd and 3rd slot of Desires. I'm not running 3 Small World because I feel like it's kind of overkill if you're running Desires. If you do not want to run Desires and you want to deck thin and like run 1 Yan Yan, then you could run drop the Desires, drop the Yan Yan, and put the 3rd Small World in, and then whatever, like, because this is a 42 card deck, so if you wanted to trim it, you could run a 3rd Small World, cut the Desires, drop the Yan Yan down to 1, and forget math. I think it puts you at a 41 card deck. Yeah, 41 cards, and then if you really wanted 40, you could just find a generic card to cut, really. But yeah, the Small World's really good because with the where are they at? Let me see. With the Ashes and the Gamma, the Gamma is a Psychic level 2, and its stats don't really match much in the deck, so you can theoretically like search your Lulu with it. You know, you can't. You can search your Lao Lao with it if you want. Let me see, what else can you search with it? You can even search, yes, you can even search your GG with it. What else? That's about it. Yes, you can search your Yan Yan too. So the only one you can't search is your Lily, because they don't share nothing. But yes, just off of like Small World and this card, you can search any of these cards to get a second name in your hand, basically. If you had a Small World and Ash or whatever, you can use it. And then, not a Small Ash, but I mean, theoretically, you still could with Ash. I'll get to that in a second. But you could search this to normal summon this, to then use Lulu or whatever else you had in your hand to continue to go off. And let's talk about the Ash. With Ash is really good too because you can search Lulu with it because they share the same level, but they don't share no other stats. They're not the same type, not the same attribute. Not the same attribute, not the same attack or defense. You can search Lao Lao with it because they don't share the same level, attribute, defense, or type, but they share the same attack, if that makes sense. So you can search that. You can search GG because they share the same level. You can search... That's basically it. You can't search poor Lily with it. You can search, and again, you can search Yan Yan. So basically, it's the same ones that you can search with it. And another thing too, like that's another reason why they're so good in this deck outside their generic. That's another reason why you won't see me run any other hand traps, because I wanted them to be able to fuel my Small Worlds. Another thing with Gamma, real quick, fun fact: if you had this in hand and you didn't want it, or you wanted a hand trap for some odd reason, or you had this in hand and you wanted to search this without having to dump it off of Beatrice, you can search Destrudo off of Gamma because they share the same attack. They're both 1,000 attack. Fun fact. Sorry about that little rant or pause in the deck profile. I was just wanting to go over Small World and it's, how it's utilized in my build. With that being said, so hopefully with that, you kind of have a gist of how versatile this card is in this. But again, if you want to run 3 and you want to cut the Desires, just cut the Desires and cut the Yan Yan. And then just added 3rd Small World. But I feel like Desires is really still really good in this deck because you go like +1, +2 with it, if not more than that, technically, theoretically, because you deck thin and you just go hard in the paint at that point. And then obviously the last spell in my deck is Desires. Desires. We just talked about it. And then the last 3 cards in the deck are obvious if you didn't already guess. 2 Chuche and 1 Zhongwu. Not much needs to be said. I know a lot of people is going to bug people that I'm running a 42 card list. But it worked for me. This deck basically does everything Virtual World always tries to do, but with some additional spice with the addition of Destrudo. Moving on to the extra deck, my XCs. Let me zoom in a little bit here. Sorry about the camera angle, guys. I got one number 75. I still like this card. I still think this card's mandatory. I know a lot of people cut it and they haven't really played it since the early days of this deck. But I find it necessary because this deck can like auto lose the nib, because with combo, if you can't get to your freaking what's it, Crystal Wing in time, and you're also thinning your hand, you just auto lose the nib flat out because you have no board presence no more. You don't really have that many follow-ups in grave, and you have no hand. So Gossip Shadow can help you protect you from that. On top of that, it actually refills your hand, and like I said with this deck before, if you don't have a hand, you don't win, basically, because all the decks nowadays, even a lot of rogue decks, they recycle their hand or they add their follow-ups. This deck doesn't do very well at that, its current state. So this, even though I know a lot of people are like, well, Drip, your opponent draws off of this too. Yeah, but with them having to play through your board and you already negated most of their stuff, and you're plussing 2, if you have if you whip full combo, you already added Lulu back. So you add a Lulu back, and then you're going to get an additional draw off of this. It's pretty much like they're going to burn a lot of their resources to try to break your board, and then you just kill them next turn. And then for the sixes, we got M7. This card is just stupid. Best XC in the deck, honestly. Not much needs to be said about that. And then I am still on Fan. I think this card is underrated and undervalued in this deck. A lot of people cut it, and it's very good in a lot of matchups, and a lot of times actually saved me. So, yeah, Fan is really good. And then one Beatrice, because if we wanted a Scythe Lock, we can Scythe Lock, or she can dump any of our missing pieces for the rest of our combo, basically. And then I am still running the Zeus. A lot of people cut him, but like this card has gotten me out of so many freaking sticky situations, it's ridiculous. And even when it breaks your board, as long as you use Chooch to shuffle the rest of your stuff back, all you're basically doing is, if you have a Chooch on field and then you have a Chooch banish, you just use Chooch's effect first to shuffle stuff back for cost, and then you can just use Zeus to send your stuff away. And then at that point, if you have a King Wong and a Chooch on field, you basically set yourself up for your combo later on. So it's not that bad of a card. It is emergency button, I will say, but it's still very much necessary in my personal opinion. That's it for the XZs, honestly. On to the Synchros. We got one Zulkin, it's standard. One Charge Warrior for the draw. And then for the rest of the sixes, we got one Yugioh. This card is very valued in my personal opinion. This card helps you a lot in the back row matches, which to an extent can kind of help you because it forces Chooch basically carries you for the most part through the back row matches. But this can help you because it's beefy and it has protection against back row basically. Well, not just back row, but it helps out mostly against back row. And then the last 6 in the deck is Mud Dragon. I'm not running Coral Dragon. I do not like that card personally because it requires too much setup to plus off of that card. And I just wanted my 6s to do something if I was making them basically. And these 6s help me more than Coral Dragon would. So onto the 9s, where a lot of people is probably going to get kind of salty about that one too. I only run 2 9s, and that is Shinshin and Vermilion Dragon Mech. These are I don't know, the best 2 in my personal opinion. The only 2 I find myself ever wanting to make. That's why I run them. And then on to the rest of generic just synchros. We got one Crystal Wing. Obviously it's standard for combo. And then my own little spice and sauce and tech I want to run is Scarlet Red Dragon Archfiend basically. The reason why I run this card is you can make this off of Zulkin as well. And if you're in going to time, you can summon this card to blow up the field and burn your opponent in time. So if time's called and you don't get a battle phase, but you have a turn basically, you can, even if you're going first basically, you could just blow your own board up and burn them for the amount. So This is like the flexible spot. If you didn't want this could also be Herald of Arclight. And if you ran Herald of Arclight, it would also give you more versatility with your Destrudo, because all you got to do is use Destrudo to target one of your 6s, make it a level 1, then take your like one of your level 3s, and then synchro it into Herald of Arclight. And it's actually really good in that regard too, because you would pseudo have 2 versions of Virtual World Shinshin, because it has kind of like the same effect, but a little bit more broken in that sense. But yeah, if you weren't running this, I would opt to run that, in my personal opinion. If you're running like a card for card, what I was running. If not card for card, then at least if you're running Destrudo, I would either run this, or I would run the Herald of Arclight. And then the last 2 cards in the deck is 1 Kaliga and 1 Baron. Basically, this is pretty much, you should have known if I was running the other ones. I was running Kaliga. I don't want to run Dragoon. I opted to run Kaliga because I feel like it's more impactful to lock my opponent under as a thought. Basically. And then Baron is just nice because you get the negate, the pop, and then you can usually pseudo extend with this card on your turn too. After you burn through it, if you had enough resources to where you didn't need the pop effect off of this, you could just use this to recycle and extend like really hard off of it with your cards in grave, like Lulu, and then the Nyan Nyan and stuff like that, or just get anything back from grave if need be. Like if they killed your Crystal Wing or something, you could just yeet it back on the field. So it's really good in that regard. So, but with that being said, that is the main and extra. I don't have a side deck for you guys, because if you know me and you know my deck profiles, I usually only do side decks for you guys if I do this deck at locals. I do not run this deck at locals. I just mainly run it online. But either way, it's still really good to say the least. But if you do need help with a side deck, with this deck, just let me know, and I'll help you with the best of my ability to help you make the most versatile side deck. One thing I will say before I let you guys go and head out, if you're still here, then you're just real OGs anyways. Please hit that like button if you haven't already. Hit the subscribe button. We're so close. We're chugging along to 1,000, and I want to talk about some things when we get to 1,000. When we get there, I can't wait to get there as a family and all that. Another thing too, check out the description down below if you want to find ways to support the channel. All support is very much appreciated, whether it be through the PayPal or the description down below. It also has the merch. And get yourself some merch. I got some new merch on the way. I just got to sit down and finish it. And then also the Discord is down below as well if you want to get closer and that way into the DD fam and chat and talk to us, or you need help with deck profiles, or you need help with anything, or learning the game or anything like that. Come on down there and we'll help you out. I have an awesome Discord group. They're super chill, super laid back, and I love all of them. But one thing I will say, do not go down there if you're kind of a sensitive person. It's locker room talk. We joke on each other, and we just basically like brotherly love down there, no matter what the situation is. So, but I have had situations in the past where like sensitive people didn't really fit in well, and I felt bad, but I just wanted to give y'all the disclaimer or whatever. So. But again, guys, I hope you really enjoyed this deck profile. Again, look out for future videos, whether it be in Virtual World or not. I have a couple of deck profiles on the way, along with Albaz is right around the corner, and hell yeah, I'm ready for that. I've been ready for that deck ever since it all got announced. So yeah, that's going to be my new baby. But again, if you made it this far, I appreciate it. I love you guys. You all have a wonderful day, night, morning, evening, whenever you're watching this video. Hope you all are staying safe out there in the age of COVID. And it's your boy Brendan, aka Drip, out. Peace. Good dueling, my guys.